Mary here at Mary's Heirloom Seeds, and we are finally going to fill those raised beds we've built. In our first video, we shared with you picking out the lumber for your raised beds. Now, understand that you can use reclaimed wood. You don't have to go out and buy lumber, but that was a great tutorial to share with you. If you're just getting started and you don't have the power tools, it's a really simple explanation of buying wood. In our second video, we shared with you how to build them. We built two raised beds. They're over here, and I'm going to show them to you in just a second. And now in our third installment of raised bed gardening, we're going to talk about how to fill and what we use to fill our raised beds. There's a lot of different variables, a lot of different options for you available, but we have a do-it-yourself potting soil mix recipe available on our YouTube channel, and I highly recommend you check out that video. I've shared the link in the comments here. Some of the items that we use in our garden are homegrown, home-raised, and that would be first and foremost is chicken manure. We used aged chicken manure in our garden. I'm going to bring this to you so you can see it a little better. That is aged about a year. This has been in our composting area here on our farm here. We also have access to horse manure. This is horse manure here. That's aged about 6 months, but you don't really have to age it that much. From what I've seen, you really only have to age it about 3 months. We also have access to goat manure. I have a really great friend. She lives around the corner, and she has been sharing with me her goat manure. There you go there. So, 3 types of manure that we use in our garden. Our do-it-yourself potting soil recipe includes homemade compost. If you don't have it, you can buy it, or you can start making it. Worst case scenario, you can always use store-bought garden soil. And then the second part of our recipe is coconut coir. We have an abundance of coconut coir. It's great stuff. It gives a nice fluff to your garden bed. It's a great addition to your garden. And then we also use perlite. Perlite we've discussed quite a few times. That's the third ingredient in our do-it-yourself potting soil mix. And perlite is heated volcanic glass that makes it pop. So it's like popcorn, only for your garden. So in our raised bed, we're going to use manure. We're going to use our homegrown, homemade soil. If you don't have homemade soil, you can always buy soil. Now, we're going to fill a 4x4 raised bed. You need to know how much soil you're going to use. So in a 4x4 raised bed, you're going to need 16 cubic feet of soil. So I'm going to turn this around here real quick. If you are not making your own soil, you're going to need to calculate how many bags of soil you need. Most of them are about, I have one that's 1.5 cubic feet. So there's a difference between cubic feet and cubic yards. You need 16 cubic feet for a raised bed garden. For a 4x4 raised bed garden that we're going to fill up here. So if you're going to buy soil, you're going to need to calculate ahead of time. And then, of course, if you're going to add stuff to it, you want to keep that in mind as well. I have been saving cardboard. So under our raised beds, we put cardboard. It helps as a weed blocker, and it's natural, and I don't have to buy anything. So we're recycling that. So we're going to turn the camera around, and we're going to share with you how we fill up a 4x4 raised bed garden. Now, keep in mind also placement. Before we get started on filling our raised bed, you need to know where to put it. This raised bed is going to be in full sun. That's important. I want full sun for what I'm going to be growing in these raised beds. You might have a spot on your property that has an area where you want shade. If you have a shadier area, you can grow a few things that require a little more shade. Or if you have a fence, you might want to grow it along a fence line so that you've got a free trellis there and you don't have to buy a trellis. My 2 raised beds are put right next to each other so that next year, after I finish my fall crop, when I have my summer crop, I don't have to add an extra fence. I just create a little trellis there and I'm good to go. So we'll turn this around and we're going to share with you how we're going to fill it. This is our first bed that we've already filled up almost all the way. And this is the second bed that we're going to be filling up today. You can see here that I've already laid the cardboard down. You can see where our posts are here, and you can see in there where we have our chicken wire there. So we're going to go ahead and fill it up with some manure first. Then we're going to add soil. Then I'm going to do another layer of manure and then more soil. And then when I'm done with that, I'm going to add more soil to this bad boy here, and we'll be all set to plant. I have my first layer here of aged horse manure. This was not quite 2 wheelbarrows full, so it's almost halfway full with aged horse manure. Since I have an overabundance of this is a big part of each raised bed. And then most of it is half. The second half is this stuff here. This would be considered potting soil because it's got that fluff. Let's see if I can get to show you. So it's got that nice fluff. So that's what we're going to put on top of this now. Now, obviously, if you don't have access to manure, that's okay. Just fill up your raised bed with the store-bought soil, or find somebody that can bring it to you and sell it to you in bulk. That's what I've done in the past when we first got here and we had no raised beds, and I'll show you why we do raised beds. Here. This is why we do raised beds. This is why we do raised beds. Those are gophers. Those are gopher holes. And those gopher holes will destroy our gardens if we don't do raised beds with gopher wire underneath or chicken wire underneath. So if you saw our first video where I shared with you buying rolls of 4-foot wide gopher wire, that's exactly why. So it's cooling down here finally. I do tend to do a lot of the garden work either really early in the morning and I don't want to film a video, or I do it much later in the evening time. The sun is starting to set and it's absolutely gorgeous here. So it's finally cooling down. I'm going to finish off this raised bed and then I'll show you the final here. Now, one thing I would like to share is if you are layering. So if you're layering different manures, different types of soil or organic matter in your garden, water each layer so that you have a good amount of moisture in your soil before you start planting. Having moist soil is very important. So that's one really, just a tiny tip that might really help you. I'll be back and I'll show you how we've done so far. All right, there you have it. I'm a little red, not necessarily from the workout I just got, but from this beautiful sunset I'm checking out here. So you'll see behind me, the raised bed is all full and ready to go. It took me about 20 minutes, broke a sweat, good workout. You'll see behind me, I've got a few things in buckets. I've got the chocolate baby bell peppers, and I've got moringa, and I have left, let's see over here, I've left some of the cardboard here on the side of this raised bed because I'm gonna make a small bucket garden, container garden that goes around here. So, I'm Mary, signing off. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Sorry about that. If you have a raised bed question, place it in the comments here below. You can send an email to mary@marysheirloomseeds.com. I'm really excited to be finished with this project finally. There's 2 raised beds here. We've got a whole mess of them on the other side, but this is the first time we've decided to share how to build your own raised bed from start to finish. We will have a lot more growing from scratch videos in the near future. Check us out on Facebook, check us out on YouTube, all of those fun social media sites that we're on. You can also sign up for our email list in the description section below. Have an awesome day and happy planting. Thanks for joining us.